All right, guys. So here I am back with my Michael Hauge six-stage plotting system. Again, there's a lot of different plotting systems out there that people can use. This is just happens to be the plotting system that I use. Um, excuse me. I found it super helpful. Last in the last video, we went through the first act of the three-act plot. Michael Hauge takes the three-act plot and he breaks it down even a little more so. Again, it's super user friendly, and it's kind of like I use a term that we used back in high school when I was doing math, and it's just plug and chug. It's kind of like you get an equation and you just plug in the information. So the two stories that I was using to explain the Michael Hauge three-act six-stage system was Aladdin and Princess Diaries. So let's stick with those and continue from where we left off. Okay, so the end of Act Two, or turning point to a change of plans. This is kind of a point where our protagonist, whoever that may be, Aladdin, Mia Thermopolis, or whoever, starts to really, from an emotional standpoint, moves into their new personality. Okay. And of course begins Act Two and Stage Three. Now, before I get started here, Act Two is going to be the meat of your story. It's about 50% of your story. So, three act story isn't broken up into thirds typically. Normally, the beginning is probably more like 15 to 20%, even though we say 25%. And the end is about 25%. So the middle part, that meat of your story, the meat of your book, is going to be a good 50% of the story. And this is really where you get to create the story itself. You don't have to worry about build-up. You don't have to worry about climax. You just get to write, which is, for a lot of us, that's what we're here for. Okay. So stage three, or 25 to 50% of the book, is progress. Okay. So as we're talking about progress, let's take a look at Aladdin first. So for Aladdin, so we talked about last time, we talked about Aladdin finds himself in the cave of wonders, and he tricks the genie into helping him escape. And this really does a great job of setting up who Aladdin is. He is a trickster. He's, streetwise. And finally, we get to this point where Aladdin is faced, Aladdin, oh, let me unbold that there. And again, we see Aladdin's true character come out. He loves Jasmine, and yet he doesn't believe that Jasmine would ever fall in love with him, a street rat. And so he wishes his first official wish, and that is to be a sultan himself. And so Genie grants the wish. He makes his entrance and tries to win the heart of Jasmine. Right? So we really, and through this, we really, I think one of the really important parts of a story is getting the true sense of the story and getting the true sense of your protagonist. And we really see Aladdin's true character shine through in this particular part of the story, because he feels uncomfortable acting like this, pompous, self-righteous, noble person, because that's not who he is, right? And so the other thing that we have to explore here is an emotional growth of our main character. Okay. That's not going to work. Let me see. Protagonist's true character shows through, but at the same time, we see growth and change. So one of the things that I've noticed, especially in fantasy and sci-fi, this is not good. One of the things that I've noticed when a lot of people are writing is the growth and change happen way too quickly. It's like it's a classic. I heard Robert Jordan one time give an interview about his Wheel of Time series, and he was talking about how he was so frustrated with the fact that people would write stories about, okay, you're a guy sitting in a bar, a guy walks in, he says he's a wizard, and hey, guess what? You're going to be the savior of the world. And the guy sitting at the bar goes, okay, let's go. And we all know that that really wouldn't happen in life, right? We would say, oh, wow, that's interesting. Let me buy you a beer. By the way, I need to use the restroom. And as we go use the restroom, we escape out the back door because this sounds like a crazy person, right? And so this is a really good opportunity for 25% of the book to really start to set up that change in our character, right? Maybe our character is very unlikable, but we want to get the readers to a place where they like him. Or maybe our character is super likable, but also super confident. We want to get the reader to a place where she seems vulnerable, whatever the case may be, right? And so this point is really where we get to do that. Okay. Now, taking a look at turning point number 3, okay, which is then also the point of no return. Okay. I think when we're taking a look at at Aladdin, the point of no return to me, and of course you may disagree with me on this, the point of no return in Aladdin is Aladdin takes Jasmine on a carpet ride. He truly falls in love with her. She falls in love with him. And I'm going to emphasize Aladdin here because that's who she falls in love with, right? Not this make-believe prince that he's pretending to be. Okay, and so he needs to be all in, right? He needs to be all in because he realizes that he's fallen in love with Jasmine. This is the person he's meant to be. Okay. Now, why is this a point of no return? This is a point of no return because at this point, Aladdin cannot go back to being a street rat. Okay. He can't go back to his old self. He's finally changed enough. He's seen enough of the world. He's experienced true love. He cannot go back to being a street rat. Okay. It is impossible for him to do at this point. He's learned too much. He's learned too much about himself. He's learned too much about the world. Okay. Then the next 25% of the story, complications, higher stakes. So, what happens here? Well, okay. So the first complication here is that Jafar tries to assassinate Aladdin. Okay. It fails. Genie saves Aladdin by using his second wish. Okay. Now, the real major complication here, and again, one of the things that needs to happen at this point is the main character, the protagonist, needs to be faced with a gut check moment, and this needs to be a gut check moment that's not only physical, but it's also personal, emotional, right? It's a test of their character. And, Aladdin had promised Genie his freedom, but starts to question that promise. So all of a sudden we see actions that are going to lead into our major setback, which is turning point number 4. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and move to this section because I think that in Aladdin it's such a good example because this major setback is obviously twofold. One, it's Aladdin has a character setback as he doesn't believe Jasmine will love him for him, and he breaks his promise to Jeannie. Okay, so he has an emotional setback, right? Where he second guesses himself. Obviously, this is a setback. I mean, everyone I think can recognize that this is a setback. But then he also has a physical setback, right? He has a physical setback when Jafar steals the lamp and banishes him from. I'm going to spell this wrong, but Agrabah. Okay, well, let's see if Word has this. Oh, there we go. Good old Word, Agrabah. Okay. So the major setback in Aladdin is twofold, both emotional and physical setback. Okay. Now listen, I really, really think that your setback needs to be believable. Okay. And what I mean by that is obviously a reader is going to pick up your stories. They're going to pick up your book because they want to, whatever, however you set it up, they're really encouraged and interested in your story. I think that unless it's a horror-oriented novel, most readers want to see a happy ending. Now, it doesn't have to be a happy ending like in Snow White or Sleeping Beauty. In fact, I do believe that most readers today don't want to see that kind of happy ending. They want to see a complicated happy ending because that emulates life. But if the turning point, if the major setback isn't believable, you're going to lose people. And I mean, I'm a victim of that as well. Okay, I've done that. Right, your major setback needs to absolutely be believable. It needs to, like people, like I don't know, maybe you kill your main character, which is something that I've done, and or at least people think your main character is dead. Like they need to believe that. They need to really truly believe that your main character is dead. Or maybe you have several protagonists and you actually do kill one of them, right? I mean, people need to have that gut reaction that, oh my goodness, maybe the mission won't go as planned. I think if they really truly don't believe that this is a major setback, you're going to lose your audience and you're going to lose your validity as an author. So it needs to be real, and sometimes that means making hard choices as a writer. There's been several characters that I've killed off, and I really didn't want to, but I did for the better of the story. And at the end of the day, I'm glad I did. Right. So anyways, so now let's go to let's move on to the Princess Diaries. So okay, so stage 3 progress in the Princess Diaries. So stage 3, this 25 to 50% part really happens probably after Mia and Lily have a fight. Let me make sure my cursor's there. Mia sits with Tina at lunch and starts to explore new friendships. Now, obviously, let's fix that there. Obviously, like anywhere else, this is going to be both a physical and emotional, psychological journey and progress. So basically, what's happening is Mia is opening up, right? She is maybe viewing herself as something other than, this kind of nerdy girl she saw. Okay, so all of stage 3 is really about, you know, uh, Mia exploring who she is, exploring new friendships. She's also Mia is also embracing her status as a princess. She stands up for Tina when a cheerleader harasses her. So again, we're starting to see a change in Mia, right? And Meg Cabot does a great job of really making that seem believable. We've all, well, I mean, unless you haven't been in high school and you're watching this, we've all been in high school. We've seen that kind of change happen, right? Okay, so what is the point of no return in what is the point of no return in the Princess Diaries? I think the point of no return in the Princess Diaries is really, I think we could kind of pinpoint that point as, I mean, let's say this is when Mia stands up for Tina and sees through the fakeness of Lena. Okay, and so this is really a point where Mia can no longer go back to her old self. She even goes to the principal's office. Like, there's all kinds of things going on at this point in the story. So I think we'll say that is that midpoint, that point of no return. Okay, so leading up to this point, this is going to be simple, very simplistic, but Mia becomes more popular, right? Josh pays attention to her. I said, Josh pays attention to her, and he even asks her to the dance. Now, what is the major setback? The major setback, again, we're going to say is twofold here. Mia accepts Josh's how about we spell that? Invitation to the dance, even though she has some misgivings. Okay. She does something that is outside of her character, but it's so outside of her character that people are like, almost gasping, like, oh my gosh. But number two, Mia is giving into popularity. Again, kind of like Aladdin, she even calls her own character into question. And so it's at this point in the story where a reader might go, okay, well, Mia has one of two directions she could go. She could totally accept this awesome, wealthy status lifestyle and become the popular girl, or she may step back and go, no, this is who I am. And again, Meg Cabot does a great job of setting that up and making it very believable. So so for those of you out there that, again, are interested in how to plot, here is, again, the second part of our plotting stage. This is Act 2. Okay, so let me put that up here, Act 2. Act 2. And this is the meat of your story. This is where you're going to build your story. And this is where we're going to really create some really cool conflict. And we're going to end this point with that major setback. And again, we don't want everything that just seems super hunky-dory. We really want, we want the reader to be apprehensive about our story. What's going to happen? Things don't look so good for our protagonist. And then all of a sudden, obviously, we'll lead into Act 3, which will be our next video. So thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel and get regular updates by hitting that bell. Please share this channel with your friends. I'm here to just help people get better at writing. And so I know a lot of people could use this information. I know I could have when I was younger, just starting to write and do all kinds of cool stuff. So hope you have a great day. Happy reading, and stay tuned until next time when we will finish out these two stories using the Michael Hauge 6-stage plotting system.